everybody, this is Liz Merrick, and today I'm going to show you how to make a realistic dahlia flower made out of gum paste. We're going to need to gather a few tools for this. We're going to need some gum paste. I'm going to color mine half of it yellow, and then a little piece of it is going to be kind of a greenish color. I'm going to use avocado green mixed with a little bit of yellow to create a nice spring green. We're going to need some shortening, some modeling tools like a couple ball tools, a Dresden tool, a cupcake liner, foam pad for smoothing out our petals, a daisy petal cutter, and two teardrop shaped basically rose petal cutters. And we're also going to need a piece of 18 gauge floral wire, and this is going to be used to support our dahlia. So the first thing we're going to do is condition our green gum paste. Take a little piece of your green, rub some shortening onto your fingers, and knead it into your piece of green until it's nice and smooth. Then roll it into a ball that has no seams by applying firm pressure and placing the ball in between your palms and rolling it until it's nice and round. We're going to take our 18 gauge floral wire and hook the end of it with a pair of pliers, and then thread that down through the center of the ball and hook the loop into the gum paste so that the ball of gum paste is secure. Take a small ball tool and make a little texture on the end of your gum paste, and then we're going to want to let this center dry overnight or even a couple of days just so that's really nice and firm. And you can make a few of these ahead of time so that you have some centers on hand whenever you want to make a dahlia. To finish our center, after it's completely dry, we're going to take a piece of our yellow, and remember to condition your yellow just like we did with the green so it doesn't dry out, and roll it out nice and thin. A pasta machine helps a lot for this process, but you can just use a roller just as well as long as it's really thin. And we're going to use our daisy cutter and cut out 3 shapes, and we're going to keep the other 2 underneath some plastic so that they don't dry out. We're going to use our large ball tool, and starting from the center of the flower and pulling outwards, we're going to thin out the petals and thin out the edges. Then we're going to take our ball tool and go from the tips of the petal and pull towards the center to slightly cup them inwards. And this is going to create a nice shape that wraps around the dahlia center when we start threading them on there. And we're going to do this 3 times, attaching with a little bit of water in between, and then just let that rest on a piece of foam to dry while we start working on the rest of our petals. So take your teardrop shaped cutter and start cutting out a few of our petals. You know, I work with like 6 or 8 at a time and keep the rest covered under some plastic so they don't dry out. And you place one on top of a piece of foam. Take your ball tool and thin out the edges all the way around. Then take your Dresden tool and apply some lines down through the center. This is like a texture for the petals, so it's more realistic. And then you're going to take the whole petal and fold it into a cone shape and attach that to our center with just a little bit of water, and we have our first petal. To continue this same process all the way around and applying more and more petals until we finish a complete layer all the way around, and you can keep adding more and more layers to make your dahlia more and more full. And of course you want to use the bigger cutter for the larger petals around the outside. After you have as many petals as you feel like that you want, you can place the whole dahlia inside a cupcake liner and then put the cupcake liner on top of a glass or a jar to help let it dry, and the cupcake liner supports basically those outer petals so that they don't bend over while they're drying. If your petals are falling off while you're adding more and more layers, you might just be using too much water. So go ahead and hang your dahlia upside down and just let it dry, maybe overnight, before you start adding more petals. Don't try and make your petals too perfect. It's okay if some are a little bit wonky and a little bit stretched and, you know, torn. That's very natural looking and how things kind of happen in nature. So, you know, definitely include those in your arrangement. So that's it, guys. That's how you create a realistic, beautiful, full dahlia. You can apply it to your cake by taking the wire and trimming it down to size and inserting it into a straw before you put it into your cake. The straw helps support this heavy flour in the cake so that it doesn't sink down. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks so much for your support, and I'll talk to you guys next time.